each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good early afternoon. We're here. Yeah. I better watch it or I'm going to end up using all of my energy before the day is over. I can already start to feel it. Starting to wear out a little bit. A lot of really exciting things going on. It's a little overwhelming, But it's hard to bitch about it being overwhelming when it's good, right? Right? Yeah, so can't really complain. Let's go for a good stretch, everybody. Let's get a good stretch here. Get that back. Yeah. Ew. Ugh. I have cats circling my legs, making my pants all static, clingy. Stop. I know you love me. What do you want is the question. Cats very rarely hand out love for free. there's, there's usually but that's why I like cats. They kind of get to the point. Not saying I don't like dogs. I like dogs, but too much work. Got to take them out. Got to bring them in. Got to, yeah. Cats are a little bit easier. I don't even maintain their food. They're all a little chubby because of it. So we're gonna be reading in Language of the Heart again. I've been picking some of the stuff in here that's just a little different. It's not really topical or anything like that, but um, it lets us know more. Um, and knowing more, having more knowledge when you're a recovered alcoholic is pliable again, man. Um, I know that quite often we say that when we get here, knowledge wasn't really. We tried to stay sober on our own knowledge, right? But when we combine that knowledge with other people and other people with the same intentions, I just got off the phone with somebody who's helping kind of run the what you would call the SUD portion, which is substance use disorder, over at Adams County, and they think just like I do. She's been sober for quite some time. Okay, does not go to AA. She's an atheist. Okay, but her intentions, her actions are the same. Yeah, she got me started, and so I got invited for some trainings, and I'm gonna be because what we're kind of getting into now with this is understanding that but I'll give you an idea of a scenario. Let's say somebody gets dropped off at detox. Hey Kathleen, you are in my prayers, honey. You are in my prayers. You and your mother are in my prayers, and I love you, and I hope that you're doing well. So you keep up the good work too, because what you are doing is very important also. It is not easy to do. Okay. My wife and I work with a lot of people with dementia and end of days, and it's not an easy thing, right? Um, but let's say, like this is what I said to my wife. I said, you remember all those times you dropped me off at detox and picked me up, and that was kind of your only job, and you didn't get anything out of it? She was like, yeah, you know, and I said, well, instead, what would happen now is I would go, they'd take me into the back, but then somebody else would approach you and ask you if you needed any resources, if you needed any help. And we're going to take this one step further and include the families, because if that person goes through detox and then treatment and ends up back in the same household and nothing is really changed, then relapse is on the way. So, you know, we got to heal as families. We got to heal as communities. I understand that the World Wide Web is a great place, but really, you know, doing it in your community is really where it's at. Um, God has sent me a lot of allies over the last couple of weeks. So thank you, God. All right. It's just neat to think, talk to like minded people, doing the same thing. So let's do this. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion, or if you'd like to put that into Latin, it means doesn't shut up. It has nothing to do with Latin or anything. Welcome to Daily Trudge. I'm Dion. If you're here, please say hello. There is a Greek goddess, Dionysius, and I'm probably even saying it wrong, who's the goddess of love and winemaking. Or is it wine and love making? If you're here, please say hello. I was named after Dion. I always want to say Bonaducci, but that's Danny Bonaducci. Dion Manucci, something like that. But he was the lead singer of Dion the Belmonts. So people always say, sometimes I'll go to meetings and they'll be like, "Can you come back to this meeting? We really need me." I'm like, "You saw my name, right?" Well, I wander. I do. I'm a wanderer, right? Um, my ex-wife's name is Susie. So, and if for anybody that likes Dion, he had a song called "Keep Away from a Runaround Sue." He is still married to Sue, and they live in upstate New York. He just put out a new blues album about 3-4 years ago. Okay. He has also been in recovery for quite some time now. Anyway, let's get started. Enough history on my name. We're going to be, like I said, we're kind of doing stuff in the language of the heart. This one is called 12 Suggested Points for AA Tradition. It was written in April 1946, before the traditions came out. I haven't really gone through it. I just really like the first line. Nobody invented Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay. Bill W. is not going to take credit for quote unquote inventing Alcoholics Anonymous, because he did not. It was not invented. It grew. Trial and error has produced a rich experience. Little by little, we have been adopting the lessons of that experience, first as policy and then as tradition. You're right. It said it wasn't supposed to be this cold today. You're right, and it is BS. I agree with that. And so do my achy joints. Hi, Amber. A lot of 10 stepping today. I still want to be able to see a picture of that. And I'm not your only friend. There's a lot of people that love you. And if they don't, they're stupid. That process still goes on, and we hope it never stops. Now, what I really appreciate about Bill and Bob and the first 100, anybody that came before us, is saying, we tried these ways and they didn't work. This is where and how we failed. No wonder weathermen are off them. Have you not heard the Don Henley song? You don't have. You just have to look good. You don't have to be clear, right? The only real requirement for being a weather person in Colorado is that you're pretty or handsome. It's the only requirement. You're better off with the Farmer's Almanac. Should we never harden too much? The letter might crush the spirit. We could victimize ourselves by petty rules and prohibitions. We could imagine that we had said the last word. We might even be asking alcoholics to accept our rigid ideas or stay away. May we never stifle progress like that. You know, when I came back into the program, but there was changes. Even now, I still tend to harp a little bit. The willing to be a sponsor. We'll just say what it is, right? And I'm finding more and more this year, because I don't set I don't set I don't have resolutions, but I have goals that I set that are yearly goals. And this year is to be more open minded and more inclusive. That is my goal this year. So I'm trying to be more open minded on the process that other people use, um, like evidence based treatment, and some of these other ways that are working that I may not be familiar with, that maybe I need to get a little bit more familiar with. Um, Yet the lessons of our experience count for a great deal, a very great deal, we are convinced. The first written record of AA experience was the book Alcoholics Anonymous. It was addressed to the heart of our foremost problem, release from the alcohol obsession. It contained personal experiences of drinking and recovery and a statement that of those divine but ancient principles which have brought us a miraculous regeneration. Since publication of Alcoholics Anonymous in 1939, we have grown from 100 to 24,000 members. Ooh, 7 years have passed. That's a lot. That's a lot for a private anonymous organization who is doing everything by snail mail and Morse code. Yeah. Back then, they would be called telegrams. Okay. Hmm. Now we have a lot of different ways to be able to communicate, right? Look at the Everything AA app. It's pretty darn popular, and it is not owned by AA. No, okay, but the company that is taking care of it is doing some good things. So good on them, man. Good on them. And it's getting people. So see, we can use computers and we can use these things as long as we stay within the spirit, right? We got to stay within the spirit of the program. Um, what whiny butt? 7 years have passed, 7 years of vast experience with our next greatest undertaking, the problem of living and working together. This is our main concern. If we can succeed in this adventure and keep succeeding, then only then will our future be secure. I'm not petting you right now. Go find something to do, dude. He did. He walked away like, okay, fine. Now you just went to the other side of the chair. He said, how about over here, Dad? What if I jump up from over here? Fine, come here. Come on. The way is open. Since personal calamity holds us in bondage no more, our most challenging concern has become the future of Alcoholics Anonymous. How to preserve among us AA such a powerful unity that neither weakness or persons nor the strain and strife of these troubled times can harm our common sense. We know that Alcoholics Anonymous must continue to live, else, save few exceptions, we and our fellow alcoholics throughout the world will surely resume the hopeless journey to oblivion. Dude, this isn't working out. Just find a spot to sit. Okay. All right. So what do they say? They say that the steps, we do the steps so that we don't kill ourselves, and the nutritions are there so we don't kill each other. That's the run. That's kind of the running joke in AA of what it's about. But if you looked on it on the Trinity, it would be the unity portion, right? Because we stay whole and we live together or we die separately, right? Almost any AA can tell you what our group problems are. Fundamentally, they have to do with our relations, one with the other and with the world outside. They involve relations of the AA group, the relation of the group of Alcoholics Anonymous as a whole, and a place of Alcoholics Anonymous in that troubled sea called modern society, where all of humankind must presently shipwreck or find haven. Terribly relevant is the problem of our basic structure and our attitude. Those ever-pressing questions of leadership, money, and authority. The future may well depend on how we feel and act about things that are controversial and how we regard our public relations. Our final destiny will surely hang upon what we presently decide to do with these danger-fraught issues. Now, keep in mind while we're reading this that the traditions haven't come out yet. Traditions didn't come out until 1950, okay? And this was written in 1946. So they were just getting to the traditions here. Ooh. You guys want to see this? You should see it. What we're going to do. Sometimes we take a little break so I can do stuff like this. There it is. Okay. This is Amber's new dress for the gala. What gala? I'm not sure of. It's very pretty. All right, so we go back, and then here's another picture of it. There you go. Good job. That's going to look nice. Good job. All right. Just want to show that off for a second. Oh. Now comes the crux of our discussion. It is this. Have we yet acquired sufficient experience to state clear-cut policies on these, our chief concerns? Can we now declare general principles? Because remember, they're 7 years in. 7 years is not that long in the totality of things. Can we declare general principles which could grow into vital traditions sustained in the heart of each AA by his own deep conviction and by the common consent of his fellows? That is the question. Though full answers to our perplexities may never be found, I'm sure we at least come to a vantage point whence we can discern the main outlines of a body of tradition, which, God willing, can stand as an effective guard against all the ravages of time and circumstances. Man, what a deep undertaking, a big undertaking, right? To be able to cover that. You know, I'm going to tell you now, there's no way my brain would have come up with this concept. No way. You know, I feel an advantage of the fact that it was written out for me and explained to me, because there's no way I could have done that, right? There's no way Bill could have done it, not by himself. It had to be the culmination of thousands of people and their experience. Otherwise, that experience would have taken a lot more time. We'd still be trying to figure things out. Acting upon the persistent urge of old friends and upon conviction that general agreement and consent between our members is now possible, I shall venture to place in word these suggestions for an alcoholic tradition of relations, 12 points to assure our future. All right. So I'm presuming that what we're going to be reading is the 12 traditions as they started out. So it may sound a little different, because I know, this I do know, that a lot of people came and redlined Bill's stuff. Redline means they got out the red ink and said, and nixed it. Okay. I do know that Bill did not have final say over this. It was done by vote at the first AA conference in 1950. Our experience has taught us that, one, each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is a small part of a great whole. AA must continue to live, or most of us will surely die. Hence, our common welfare comes first, but individual welfare follows close after. Now, you'll find this in any kind of recovery system, that it is about a group, right? It doesn't matter who you talk to in the field of alcoholism recovery, any alcoholic or any person that is involved, it is the group. What is the opposite of addiction? It's connection, it's fellowship, it's brotherhood, it's each other. That's the opposite. Remember how lonely we were. Remember how aside we felt, how put off we felt. 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as he may express himself in our group conscious. That didn't get changed at all. Yep. Who makes the decisions in our group conscious? Well, we ask God for guidance, don't we? And then everybody gets to go around and have their say so. All right. We just did this in our group conscience. Okay. Everybody had a say so. We were voting on things. It was pretty straightforward, but there's some times where it's divided. You get 50-50. And so there needs to be more discussion. Sometimes something comes up and everybody needs to think on it for a month because maybe our reaction isn't right. Okay. But there again, what is the primary purpose? To stay sober and make sure that those newcomers can find us and that they feel okay coming in. That's really what we're trying to do. 3, our membership ought to include all who suffer alcoholism. We're just kind of discussing this in the grassroots meeting right now. Hence, we may refuse none who wish to recover, nor ought AA membership ever depend upon money or conformity. Any 2 or 3 alcoholics gathered together for sobriety may call themselves an AA group. You don't even have to sign up. You don't have to do anything. That's the only requirement there. All right. And what it was I was in a closed meeting this morning, and somebody says, I'm Al-Anon, but I have a desire to stop drinking. Do I belong? And they said, no, we're just people who call themselves alcoholics. I did not agree with this. Okay, but we're going to get to tradition 6 here in a second. And they didn't. They followed the rules. Okay, so I brought up in the grassroots meeting, I'm like, that's going to come up. How are we going to handle that? And pretty much everybody's saying, hey, if they have a desire, they stay, man. Okay, it is only closed in the fact that we don't want bombers and bull crap. Other than that, I bet if somebody came in and they were like from a doctor's office or a nurse going to school and they said, hey, I'm this, can I be here? We'd probably take a quick vote and say yes. Yeah, you can do that. 4, with respect to its own affairs, each group should be responsible to no other authority other than its own conscience. But when its plans concern the welfare of neighboring groups also, those groups ought to be consulted, and no group, regional committee, or individual should ever take action that might greatly affect AA as a whole without concerning the trustees of the Alcohol Foundation, now the General Service Board. On such issues, our common welfare is paramount. Not going to go much into that. I think it's pretty straightforward. That and I have therapy in 28 minutes, so I want to make sure I have enough time to get to all this. 5, each Alcoholics Anonymous group ought to be a spiritual entity having but one primary purpose, that of carrying its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. Kind of covered that when I was talking about the group conscious. It's our only concern. How can we carry the message to more alcoholics that still suffer? Okay. Also realizing that AA is not the only way. There's been times where I've had sponsees, they will not, atheist, agnostic, because I've seen plenty of atheists and agnostics make it in AA. Okay. I was just talking to somebody who's atheist. We talked the same talk, but it was hard for them to get over that hump. So why force it down their fucking throat? No. I have sent not plenty, but a handful of people to Smart Recovery because I thought, I'm like, check this out. This might be a better fit for you. And they've come back and said, thank you. Why not? Why not, man? 6, problems of money, property, and authority may easily divert us from our spiritual aim. We think that therefore, that any considerable property of genuine use to AA should be separately incorporated and managed, thus dividing the material from the spiritual. An AA group as such should never go into business. In other words, you can't take the donations and open a 3/4 house or a transition house or a sober living. You can't apply it to somebody going to treatment. You can't do that. What we could do is give out free big books. What we could do is hold a dance for the recovery club or something like that. You can certainly do that if it's going to carry on its own message, right? But to give it to a corporation, okay? Now, the opposite is true. If you are not an AA member, you don't get to donate. No. And it's kind of weird. Sometimes my wife goes to meetings with me and she doesn't want to feel left out on the donation. And I usually put $2 anyway, so I just give her one of my dollars. Always really pushing it. Always just say, get your dollar out of there. Now, if you have a will or trust and you donate it to AA, they are not going to accept it. They're not going to accept it. Secondary aids to AA, such as clubs or hospitals, which require much property or administration, ought to be set apart. If necessary, they can be freely discarded by the groups. The management of these special facilities should be the sole responsibility of those people, whether AAs or not, who financially support them. For our clubs, we prefer AA managers, but hospitals, as well as other places of recuperation, ought to be well outside of AA and medically supervised. An AA group may cooperate with anyone, but should never bind itself to no one. Okay? And that's one of the things that I'm doing right now with the detoxes in Colorado. I'm saying you can't hire peer support because your pay is so low and because you refuse to educate them because you don't know how to educate them. So let's use the AA hotline, right? And I would enforce, and not enforce. I would recommend other hotlines, but AA is the only one out of Smart Recovery, Celebrate Recovery, Wellbriety, Dharma, and all these. They're the only one with a hotline. The only one, a local hotline. So that's the only reason that if the other ones had them, I'd put those numbers on. What I'm actually doing is I'm going to be making a business card, and it's going to have the resources on the back, including the AA hotline and places that you can call. My name's not going to be on it. Doesn't need to be. It's not for trudging together. It's to help people out, right? Then I can take a stack of them and put them at detox. Oh, you need some help here, and it's real small. There's a little pocket directory that Adams County made, things like that, right? So I can help, I can cooperate, but not bind. I'm reading The Language of the Heart. I'm on page 22. To give you an idea, he's covering the traditions, but this was in 1947. So it's kind of Bill's view of the traditions before they got voted on. So 7, AA groups themselves ought not to be fully supported by the AA groups themselves ought to be fully supported by voluntary contribution of their own members. We think that each group should achieve this ideal, that any public solicitation funds using the name alcoholics is highly dangerous, that acceptance of large gifts from any source or of contributions carrying any obligation whatever is usually unwise. Then, too, we view with much concern those AA treasuries which continue beyond prudent reserves to accumulate funds for no stated AA purpose. Experience has often warned us that nothing can surely destroy our spiritual heritage as futile disputes over property, money, and authority. Out of every argument I have heard in a group conscious, money, money, money is the biggest one. Well, I think we should send it here. I think we should send it there. I was in an AA group where we were paying the rent. Okay. A Zoom room was paying the rent of a club meeting at the same time. And I told them we are autonomous. We have separate group consciences. I don't mind helping, but I mean, every month, $1,000. And the group was bringing in that. There were 70 people there a day. Okay. It was bringing it in. I'm like, no, we can't do that. It is their job as a group to get their butts out there and grow the group. That is their job. See, are we going to be lazy and let this continue on, or are we going to put some energy into it and go out and try and bring new people in? Attraction, go out there and attract people. Okay? No, it's not easy. No. And I've tried it. I tried it with Club Trudge, man. And even then, Club Trudge, that was only around for like a month. Other than that, it was just an Anderson Community Church. I tried for 9 months to start a group somewhere. It didn't quite work. It's okay. Bought it before. Yeah, they're like, we better buy this before the Trishas could really come out. And what's funny is that's who we were sending the money to, was York Street. I'm like, no, we're not paying your rent anymore. So, like I had any say so. But no, it was voted on. And then the person who was heading it and writing the check and handing it over and getting the pat on the head and the thank you left the group, and we never heard from them again. So what were their intentions? They were just trying to fucking look good. Look what I did. Look how high I can jump. Okay, no, we're ending that crap. Okay, they were removed from their thing. They got voted out, and they got all upset and butthurt. I haven't seen them in the meeting since. I don't remember their name. Oh, their name was Bill W. A lot of Bill W's in the program, so I'm not. All right. 8, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional. We define professionalism as the occupation of counseling alcoholics for fee or hire, but we may employ alcoholics where they are going to perform those full-time services for which we might otherwise have to engage non-alcoholics. Special services may well be recompensed, but personal 12-step work is never to be paid for. Okay, now remember earlier I was talking about the detoxes calling the AA hotline. That's perfect for this. It fits this tradition very, very much, because I'm like, number one, these people don't even want your money. If you go there and help out and you try and give them $5 for helping out, they're gonna be like, no, I can't take that. They will not. They're gonna do it for free. What we have is an altruistic movement here. Okay. Now, the central office, there are people down there that if they didn't do that service, I wouldn't be able to find the Zoom meetings and get to them. That is something that's kind of separate from AA that helps support it, and they should be paid. They're doing a job, man, an actual job. They got to order the books. They got to put this together. They got to put that together. And so that's what they're talking about, the separation. 9, each group needs the least possible organization. Rotating leadership is usually best. The small group may elect its secretary. The large group is a rotating committee, and the groups of a large metropolitan area, their central committee, which often employs a full-time secretary. The trustees of Alcoholic Foundation are, in fact, our general service committee. They are the custodians of the AA tradition and the receivers of voluntary AA contributions by which they maintain AA General Headquarters in our General Secretariat, New York. They are authorized by groups to handle the overall public relations, and they guarantee the integrity of our principal publication, the AA Grapevine. All such representations are to be guided in the spirit of service, for true leaders in AA are but trusted and experienced servants of the whole. They derive no real authority from their titles. Universal respect is the key to their usefulness. Right? So a rotating committee. Okay. Secretary is usually a 6-month kind of deal. Treasurer tends to be a little bit longer. And the reason for that is because have you ever tried to change a bank account name over? It's tough. Usually a year or more. GSR a year. Okay. Central office representative. That let's just go kind of with a year. But once you've done your time, it's time to step down. It's time to step down. And it's because somebody else needs to have a chance at it. Okay. And if we hold on to those, what are we really well, I'm the GSR. So fucking what? I'm Dion. So fucking what? I can make up names too. I remember I was asked, hey, we're going to go celebrate this guy. He was a GSR for 20 years. And I don't think it was GSR. I think it was treasurer or secretary. It was one of the positions, but I don't think it was GSR because somebody would have done or said something. And I'm like, 20 years? 20 years? They should have let that thing go 19 years ago. I'm not going to celebrate breaking tradition. Have fun. Oh, 10. No AA group or member should ever, in such a way to implicate AA, express any opinion on outside controversial issues, particularly those of politics, alcohol reform, or sectarian religion. Alcoholics and groups oppose no one. Concerning such matters, they can express no view whatsoever. I'm not going to get into that one. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Right? Our relations with the 11, our relations with the outside world should be characterized by modesty and anonymity. We think AA ought to avoid sensational advertising. Our public relations should be guided by the principle of attraction rather than promotion. There is never need to praise ourselves. We feel it better to let our friends recommend us. So attraction, not promotion, right? So for us, what that is it's, dude, just come on. Go find something to fucking do. All right. Like there's not much money going to be there's not going to be much money this year for recovery services. Okay. But last year when I was talking to the guy that kind of handles it, he's like, what would be one thing that you would suggest that we do that would help out Alcoholics Anonymous? And I said, public service announcements. And I'm going to bring it back up again. It is their job. Dude, enough. God. Sorry. There's only he's still young and he's still figuring out when dad doesn't want to be. Yeah. I'm just making my fucking legs staticky. It's hard to do this when I got a cat knocking my legs around. All right. So we let our friends do that. Allies. And this goes back to the responsibility statement. I am responsible when anyone, anywhere reaches out for help. I want the hand of AA to be there. It means that we are to cooperate with doctors and professionals. I'm not gonna name them all up. I gotta kind of finish this up. And it's good because we don't have much left. So, and 12, Finally, we of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the principle of anonymity has an immense spiritual significance. It reminds us that we are to place principles before personalities, that we actually to practice a truly humble modesty. To this end, our great blessings may never spoil us. We shall never live in thankful contemplation of him who present, or that we shall forever live in thankful contemplation of him who presides over us all. Principles before personalities, right? There's a principle behind each step, and those are the principles that we are talking about. Okay. You'll hear some people in meetings say how they don't believe in God. There's nothing wrong with, you know, earlier in a meeting, I was talking about if you do a really good 4-step, or you do a thorough 4-step and stay on your 10th step, that you don't have to do another 4-step. And some guy on mute, he's all, oh, good luck with that. I mean, it was directly against. And thank you, God, for letting me handle it correctly. And I did. I handled it correctly. I did bring up that, I mean, if you're going to crosstalk and get the party started, I'm going to finish it. But I stuck around after the meeting. I ain't yell, scream, or talk directly against him. There was no point, right? That's a principle over a personality: patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love. Because what was going through my mind is, I feel sorry for the fact that you're not going to find joy in your life, dude. That sucks. That you're going to be angry all the time until you do your 4-step again. Ouch. But if he wants to live that way, then he gets to live that way. Yes, he does. And I can love him for who he is. May it be urged that while these principles have been stated in rather positive language, there are still only suggestions for our future. We of Alcoholics Anonymous have never enthusiastically responded to any assumption of personal authority. Perhaps it is well for AA that this is true. So I offer these suggestions neither as one man's dictum nor as a creed of any kind, but rather as a first attempt to portray that group ideal towards which we have assuredly been led by a higher power these past 10 years. P.S. To help free discussion, I would like to amplify the 12 points of tradition in future grapevine pieces. And he did. Oh boy, did he. Turned into As-Bill Caesar. So, and the grapevine is still going strong today. It's a great publication. They don't talk about much in meetings, but grapevine saves a lot of fucking people. In fact, maybe that's another thing that we need to get into detoxes, is make the detoxes sign up for the grapevine, right? Why not? Why not? Put a Celebrate Recovery book in there. Put in a Smart Recovery. Put in these different things that we know helps, man. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you, Daryl. I'm glad to see you around, bro. I've missed you. Amber, Kathleen, you know I love you. And this is between me and her. You're my favorite fucking Canuck. She knows what I'm saying. She knows what I'm saying. It's our favorite word. All right. There were some other people here probably, but you're not required to even say hi if you don't want to. So I have what's called the quiet. The quiet is following in the world, and that's exactly what it should be. It should. Keeps my humility where it should be, right? Yes, it does. And thank you, God, for that, because it allows me to keep moving forward. It allows me to help more people, and that's what we're here for. All right, I'm going to go to therapy, so you can all thank my therapist later. All right. I love you. You know I do.